Let me tell you what I needed from you. Not things you can buy or promise in a moment of passion, but the kind of things that show up when life gets real. When the shine wears off and all that's left is truth. I didn't need grand gestures. No roses every morning, no diamond rings, no surprises at the airport. What I needed was something quieter, deeper, harder to give, because it required more than just love. It required presence. I needed emotional presence. Not just when you were happy, not just when it was easy, not just when your heart was full and your head was clear, but especially when it wasn't. I needed you to stay when things got hard, not run toward silence or distraction. I needed you to face the storm with me, not shut down and hope it passed without having to deal with it. Because that's what love is, isn't it? Not just showing up when it's convenient. It's choosing to be there when it's messy. I needed you to not disappear into your own head or anxiety. Because when you did, I felt like I was chasing someone who wouldn't stop running. I'd ask if everything was okay, and you'd say, yeah, even when I could see the weight behind your eyes. And then, slowly, the space between us would grow wider. Not because of anything I did, but because you stopped letting me in. And I get it. Sometimes we don't know how to explain what's going on inside. Sometimes we're afraid to share our doubts because we think they'll hurt the person we love. But here's the thing, silence hurts more. Quiet withdrawal stings worse than an honest conversation ever could. I needed you to talk to me when you started having doubts. To let me in before those doubts became distance. Before they turned into decisions made in secret. I needed you to not let your fears quietly grow into abandonment. Because that's what happened. You stopped coming close. You stopped sharing. You stopped trying. And I was left wondering if I had done something wrong. If maybe I hadn't loved you enough or been enough for you. But I realize now. It wasn't about me. It was about your fear. Your discomfort with being seen, with being held, with facing the parts of yourself that needed healing. I needed a teammate. Not someone who silently decided we weren't going to make it. Someone who would fight for us, not quietly walk away. Someone who would look at the relationship as a partnership, not a solo journey where I had to guess what was going on in your heart. I needed consistency. I needed to feel safe with you. Not physically, emotionally. I needed to trust that your love was solid, that your feelings wouldn't suddenly change, that you wouldn't flip the switch on our plans and future like it was nothing. I needed to believe that when you said, I'm here, you meant it, even when things got complicated. Because real love doesn't ghost. Real love doesn't vanish. Real love shows up, even when it's hard. And I needed reassurance. Communication. I needed you to understand that your choices had consequences for my heart. That even if you didn't mean to hurt me, your actions did. That walking away without explanation leaves scars that take years to heal. I needed you to recognize when you were shutting down or withdrawing, not just as a personality trait, but as something that impacts the people who love you. I needed you to take responsibility for that. To see that avoidance isn't just a quirk. It's a wound. And wounds need attention. I needed you to have emotional accountability. To acknowledge that when you pull away, it affects me. That when you choose silence over communication, it creates pain. That when you don't show up, it feels like rejection, even if that wasn't your intention. I needed you to be willing to grow. To look at your fears and avoidant habits and work through them. Not just for me but for yourself. For your future. For the next person who loves you. Because if you don't face those things now, you'll keep repeating the same cycle. I needed you to choose me. Not out of obligation but out of love. Out of commitment. out of the desire to build something real together, even when it was hard. 'Cause I chose you. Even when you were quiet. Even when you were distant. Even when I didn't understand what was happening, I still chose you. I stayed. I reached out. Tried. I gave you every chance to come back, to talk, to fight for us. But you didn't. And now I understand why. You weren't ready. You weren't healed. You weren't whole. And until you are, you won't be able to give anyone real love, because you haven't learned how to sit with your own pain. So here's what I've learned from needing you. That I deserve someone who shows up. Someone who communicates. Someone who stays. Someone who fights. Someone who heals with me, not away from me. That I am allowed to want emotional safety. That I am allowed to expect consistency. That I am allowed to walk away from relationships where I have to beg for presence, where I have to chase silence, where I have to earn the right to be seen and heard. That I am not the problem. That I never was. And that one day when you finally do the work, when you learn how to face your fears, when you stop running from your emotions, when you stop using silence as a shield, you'll realize that what we had was worth saving. But by then I won't be waiting. Because I will have already moved on, not wrong but right. Towards someone who gives me what I deserve. Towards someone who chooses me.